Okay.
24th of February, Rabbi Levitt, Pele Yoetz.
Here comes Ellen.
Okay. The question. I didn't really do any research on this matter of the Gemara on Daf Ayin. We could just see if we could learn it, see what it says over there.
Which Gemara is that?
I'm referring to the Gemara in Bava Metzia, where it quoted the pasuk about now I don't see it right now. What is it? Was it on Ahmed Base?
Is it 70? Page 70?
Oh yeah. Yes, it's 70b.
Yeah, I think it's 70b2. It talks about ribis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Marbahono Beneshek Vatarbis May Lachonen Dalim Amar of Kahana Shava Malka Amar of Nachman Amali Huna Lo Nistracha Ella Dafilu Ribis David Kachabib. Sort of like comes in the back door. That wasn't what the Gemara was discussing here really at all. Doesn't seem. Just wondering how we can get over here. Okay, let's start from the we'll take it from where it says Marba Hono Beneshech the Sarbis.
Okay, so 70b.
V, and there's a pasuk here. This is a pasuk in Mishlei. Marba Hono. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lines up from the bottom of the Amud.
Okay, in the art scroll, it's 70b2, right-hand column, the second paragraph. Gemara discusses.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I think we could jump in over here. It's not so easy to jump in the middle, but we'll try to do so in any case. So first thing we have is a pasuk in Mishlei. So this is a pasuk in Mishlei. Your Torah or it's the first pasuk on this page. You can see your Torah or it says sends you to Mishlei Chaf Ches. So might be worthwhile to look over there in a Sefer Mishlei if you have over here. But before we do that, let's just try to see if we could translate the pasuk straight over here. Marbe Hono Beneshech Betarbis. Someone who tries to be marbe, Lashon Riboy, to enlarge, to make large. Hono, his wealth. Hon is wealth. Hono is his wealth. How does he intend to do this? Beneshech, betarbis, through the bite that bites. What's the bite that bites? Tarbis, ribis, charging ribis. That's the first part of the pasuk. Lechonein dalim yikbetzenu. What's this saying? Lechonein dalim, to graciously bestow upon poor people, yikbetzenu. He will collect for them. So the Gemara is gonna so the second part of the pasuk seems to be saying that there's going to be a fallout to this person who is collecting. He's making big money. Mar bahono. He's amassing wealth through the Isaribus. So what's going to happen? Lechonen dalim yikbetzenu. Ultimately, it'll be collected, this fortune, to be distributed to dalim, to poor people.
Right.
Okay, so let's just leave it like that. I don't think the pasuk is telling us that he's gonna do that. The person that was charging the ribis to distribute to the poor, but
Doubt it.
there's probably some moral lesson over here in Mishlei for us, but for the time being, let's unless you want to take a look in the we could learn the pasuk. We could learn the pasuk, what the Meforshim have to say about it, unless maybe Rashi helps us out, or maybe that's what the Gemara is asking over here. See, the Gemara asks, "My lechonen dalim," who's the one who's going to bestow it to the dalim? Chonen, like ata chonen lodam das. You Hashem graciously grant das to a person. So this is a language of graciousness. Lechonen dalim, to be gracious to poor people. So the Gemara says, Omar Rav says, Kigon Shavar Malka. Shavar Malka was a Melech Pras who would take Yiddish geld, and he would distribute it to his fellow Persians. So we see what happened with all the wealth that this Jew amassed in violation of the Torah's prohibition of ribos. So that's the way the Gemara is learning over here. Not only will the person who amassed the wealth be Isser, not only will he not enjoy it, but he won't even have the consolation that his children will enjoy it, or even other Jews will enjoy it. It'll be distributed to the Persians. Okay, so that's the Chonen Dalim according to Rav. Amar of Nachman, Amar li Huna. So Rav Nachman says that Huna said to him, and why is he not calling him Rav Huna? Okay, whatever. I mean, he considers him to be a colleague, so maybe he doesn't address him. He's very friendly with him, so he doesn't say Rabbi Huna. Or Rav Huna. He just calls him Huna. Okay. That's interesting. One Rav can say to another Rav, he can call him by his name without addressing him in a matter of kavod. Okay. It's not his. That was apparently the way that they did. We've seen it before, actually. Okay, lo nitzducha. No, we don't need to say like that. Ella, the afilu ribis the ovid kochavim. Now, what does he mean by that?
Somebody frozen? Rabbi frozen?
Sorry?
I hear you, Lou. Everybody frozen there? Rabbi?
Sorry? I'm trying to figure out what this Gemara is saying over here. Lo nistricha. We don't need this pasuk to be teaching us that the Malba Veribus. Oh, maybe that's what it means. Oh, that's what it means. Yes. Lo nistricha ela afilu ribis the obid kochavim. Meaning, why do you say that it says in the pasuk marbe hono beneshek betarbis? Apparently, he's doing. We're talking about someone who's doing a Torah prohibition. Why do you say that you need to talk about that he loaned Barabbas to a Jew? According to Rav Huna told Rav Nachman that we could say that this pasuk is talking about that he did a Torah prohibition of lending Barabbas to a non-Jew. And the fallout happened that what's going to happen with all of that wealth that he acquired against the Torah's prohibition of ribbis, that it's going to go to he's not gonna enjoy it. That's, I think, what it means. Afilu ribbis to ovid kochavim. Because why? The implication is that not only is it a Torah prohibition to lend to a Jew with ribbis, but it is also a Torah prohibition, according to Rav Huna, to lend to a non-Jew with ribbis. So on that, we have the Gemara asks Esvei Rav Nachman. We're now going to bring a Tanaic source, which is going to contradict this view of Rav Huna. Lenachri Tashich. Say, now we got a pasuk. This is a pasuk in Devorim. This is your second pasuk on the page. If you take a look in your Torah Or, that's where you could find out where this pasuk is. And it tells us that this pasuk appears in Devorim Chav Gimel Chav Aleph, chapter 23 in Devorim, pasuk Chav Aleph, 21. So before we go to Sefer Devarim, let's just take a look at what the what this brisa says over here. Esve roller of Nachman. He's bringing a pasuk. And the lashon esve is because this what Rava is bringing against Rav Nachman is a Tanaic source. Probably it's a brisa or a Tosefta. At any rate, it says in the pasuk lenochri tashich, to a non-Jew you do tashich. You charge ribis when you loan him money. My tashich. What is this tashich? What does that mean? Lav tishoch. Does it not mean tishoch? Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and charge the ribis. Lend to the non-Jew with ribis. No, oh, actually, okay. It doesn't sound like it's a brisa over here. He himself seems to be just saying that. Well, what do you mean? How could ribis to a non-Jew be forbidden? The Torah says lenachri sashich. It says to lend to him with ribis. No, lav tishok does not mean that that's what you could do, and that's what it's totally permissible. On that, Rav Nachman answered him, "Lo, that's not what it means. What does it mean? Tashich." Okay, what is going on over here? He's saying Rav Nachman is defending what he heard from Rav Huna, that there's an Isser Torah to lend to a goy with ribis. So I think what this means over here is that he's interpreting that the pasuk is saying not that the Jew is taking ribis on a loan from the goy, but the goy is loaning the Jew on ribis. He's taking a loan from the non-Jew with ribis. That's the difference between the word tishoch, that you are going to take ribis from the non-Jew, and tashich, that you're going to have ribis charged from you in a loan that you take from the Nachri. So we don't see anywhere that it's according to. That's the way Rav Huna is going to learn this pasuk, and Rav Nachman seems to be defending that way of learning. Okay, so far we see we have Rav Huna and Rav Nachman say that it's usher. So on that, the Gemara answers, Lo sagi the lav hachi, la fuke achicha, the lo. Okay, so here we have some Rashi. The last Rashi on the page, Lo sagid lo hachi, v'ki bo hakosov l'tzavos aleinu, litain ribis la'akum. Excuse me, Rav Nachman, is that what the pasuk is telling us to do? Kosev is he's a bit incredulous. The Gemara, it seems like the Gemara is a bit incredulous with the answer that Rav Nachman has given over here. Kosev Litzavos is a language of command over here. The language of the pasuk lenachri tashich is a language of command, that there is this is what you should do. So on that, the Rashi is explaining the kibar kosev letzavos is the pasuk coming to command aleinu, upon us, litain ribis la'akum, that we have a command to give ribis to a non-Jew. The ilu lahatir ka'amar pshita. If it would be telling us that we would be allowed to give ribis to a non-Jew, that's pshita. Obviously, that would be so. So if you would say, no, the pasuk's not, don't learn the pasuk is coming to command anything. It's simply coming to say that it is permissible. Oh, that's what we need this pasuk to come to tell us to do. You should know that it would be permissible to give ribis on a loan to a goy. That's we don't need a pasuk to tell us that. Of course, that would be permissible. Why would we think that it would be forbidden? Is there any reason to think that that would be forbidden? That needs to tell us the pasuk that is permissible. Of course, it's permissible. From where would we? What would be the basis for thinking that it would be usher? There is absolutely no basis for saying that it would be usher. So therefore, to tell me that the pasuk is coming to tell me that it's mutter, that would be pshita. And so therefore the if you're going to say that the pasuk is talking about a transaction where the goy lent money to the Jew, so then you have no alternative but to say that it's talking about a tzivoy, a command, a mitzvah, and that is also equally unacceptable. The Torah is telling us that we have a mitzvah to give to the goy a ribis on a loan. That is also a no-brainer. That could not be what the Torah is coming to tell us. So therefore, what is he saying? He's saying that to learn the pasuk is talking about a transaction where the Jew is taking a loan from the non-Jew is untenable, because neither interpretation, whether it's mutter to give the ribis, whether it's a mitzvah to give the ribis to the non-Jew, either one of those possibilities doesn't make any sense, says the Gemara.
Why couldn't you reason that if it says that ribis is a bad thing, it describes it as a thing that bites, and therefore you cannot receive interest from a Jew, maybe I would think, and also you can't receive interest from anybody. Why is that not a possibility?
Again, here we're talking about pain. Here we're talking about paying ribis to a non-Jew. He's the one that's loaning us the money. And the pasuk is telling us that either two possibilities, either it's a mitzvah to give him ribis, or that it's permissible to give him ribis. That's the way Rav Nachman is is defending himself over here. Right? On the face of it, Rava asked Rav Nachman, it says in the pasuk, Lenachri sashich, charge ribis to the non-Jew. That's what the pasuk, that's on the face of it, that's what the pasuk is saying. My tashich, is it not talking about that to the non-Jew you charge ribis? Isn't that what the pasuk is talking about? And Rav Nachman said back, love tisho. It's not telling me that the Torah is telling me that it's permissible to take ribis from this non-Jew. Oh, I missed. No, 1 second. That was the words. That is getting mixed up over here. Okay, there's 3 steps in this exchange over here. Rava is bringing this pasuk lenachri sashich, and he's asking, my tashich, what is the simple, straightforward meaning of this word? Lav tishok, does it not mean that you are taking the ribis? It means that you're taking the ribis. This is what Rashi says over here, I believe. My lav tishok, shemuter ata likach hemenu neshech. The word tashich is referring to the word ribis. And Rashi's explaining that grammatically, the simple understanding of this word in the Chumash is referring to it's saying to the Jew that it'll be permissible to take ribis from the non-Jew, even though it's also to take from a Jew, but it's permissible to take from a non-Jew. Lenachri tashich. That's how Rashi's explaining the question that Rava is confronting Rav Nachman with. My tashich, he asks him, what does it mean, tashich, over here? Lav tishoch? Does it not mean that you should take the ribis? And on that, Rav Nachman says, lo, that's not what the pasuk is saying. Tashich. It's saying that on the contrary, not that you'll take ribis, that you will give ribis. That's what Rashi says in the next Rashi. Lo, tashich, dafka ka'amar, ata tein lo ribis. The pasuk is saying that you, the Jew, are going to give ribis to the goy. So there's an argument over here between Rava and Rav Nachman. What is the simple meaning of these words in this pasuk? Lenachri tashich. It's very interesting. One would think that according to the rules of diktuk, it would be a simple question. Lenachri tashich. Does it not mean that you will take ribis? That's what Rava asked. Lav tisho, that you will take ribis. On that, Rav Nachman says no. We could say that the intention of the Torah is tashich, not tishoch, but tashich. That you will give ribis. You will take a loan from the non-Jew, and he will charge you ribbis. And so therefore, you will give him ribbis. That's their exchange at that point. That's what Rava said to Rav Nachman. That's what Rav Nachman said back to Rava. They're arguing about the simple interpretation of what the pasuk says. Now on that, it seems that the Gemara is piping up. And the Gemara says, Lo sagi de lav hachi.
This is the second step.
Yeah, the Gemara is commenting on their exchange. They're still at loggerheads, so to speak. Each one says, each one is maintaining his position. One is saying that Rav is saying it's referring to the Jew taking ribbis from the non-Jew, and Rav Nachman says no, the pasuk is talking about the Jew giving ribbis to a non-Jew. On that, the Gemara now asks a question. Lo sagi the lab haki. The literal translation of that is lo sagi. It's not enough. The lav haki, that it's not like that. That it's not. That's not. Then there wouldn't be with that. What is that referring to? And Rashi tells us. Rashi tells us that if you want to say that it's talking about a case, like Rav Nachman says, that the Jew is taking a loan from the non-Jew and he is paying the non-Jew ribbis. So Rashi explains that what the Gemara's intention in saying these words, lo sagi de lav haki, is that either interpretation makes no sense.
That's my question. I don't understand why the interpretation that says that you're permitted to pay interest to a non-Jew doesn't make sense. Since I could learn from a comparison, since ribbis is a bad thing and you're not allowed to take interest or pay interest to a Jew, maybe you would think that you can't pay or receive interest to a non-Jew. Maybe that's what the Torah needs to tell us. What's wrong with that logic?
Well, because when the Torah says, well, first we have to see where does the Torah say not to take interest?
Is that in Devarim?
Well, we really have three psukim over here. We have a pasuk in Devarim, we have a pasuk in Shmos, and we have a pasuk in Bamidbar. We have three different places where the Torah enjoins Asers taking ribbis. So since we have a Devarim over here, maybe we'll take a look over here right now. If we could find
23:21.
23:21. The Nakri Sashich, Ulachicha lo Sashich. L'man yivarechacha Hashem Elokecha b'kol mishlach yodecha al ha'aretz asher ata bo shama l'rishta. Now, what does it say over here in this pasuk? To a Nakri, you are Sashich. You are Sashich. Whatever Sashich means, whether it means that you're taking ribbis or whether you're paying ribbis, it's for a Nakri, the Torah is saying Tashich. And then it says, Ula achicha lo sashich. But to your brother, don't do that.
So my English says you may cause a non-Jew to take interest, but you may not cause your brother to take interest.
Yeah, so their interpretation is following the interpretation of Rava, that we're talking about lending. The pasuk is talking about lending to a person with ribis. The pasuk is talking to the lender, and the lender is giving a loan, and he's charging ribis for the loan. That's the way your English translation is reading, which, so,
Oh, I don't think so. When it says cause a non-Jew to take interest, that means you're the borrower and you're paying him interest. You're causing him to take interest.
okay, 1 second. I see, let's take a look at Rashi. Lo sashich, says Rashi, as hara leloivet. This is a lav saying don't do this, directed not to the lender, says Rashi, directed to the borrower. Okay, so that's what you're saying.
Right.
Okay, so what you're saying, the way they're explaining the pasuk according to Rashi, as hara leloivet, this pasuk is talking to the borrower. Shalo yitain ribis. He has a Torah prohibition to not give ribis to the lender. And then Rashi says, "Ulachar kach azhara lamalva es kaspacha lo titein loy beneshek." Oh, that's. Oh, Rashi's quoting a pasuk in Vayikra. What? After that is an azhara to the malveh.
Yes, I was just going to say that Sally's coming.
Okay.
You got on your email.
Seems as though Rashi is quoting us a pasuk in Vayikra.
Okay, fine.
If we would look in Vayikra 25:37, we would see this pasuk. It says, "Es kasbacha, your money, lo titain lo, do not give to him beneshek, with ribis. Don't give him money on a loan for ribis." So that Rashi says that's a different pasuk, and that's the azhara, that's the prohibition given to the lender. So 1 second. According to this, according to the way Rashi's understanding it, it's saying, yeah, if in other words, you're right. The Rashi is explaining the pasuk in the way that Rav Nachman is explaining the pasuk. That it's talking to the lender. It's talking not to the lender, it's talking to the borrower. Meaning, if you are the borrower, you could give ribis to the non-Jew. There's no prohibition.
So if that's obvious, then why is the Torah telling it to us?
Well, that's really the Gemara's question. That's really the Gemara's question.
I thought that was Rashi was saying that it's obvious. We don't need it. Oh, so the
Rashi's explaining
saying
Rashi in the Gemara.
Right. Since it's obvious, then it can't mean that, is what the Gemara is saying.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, why does it say since it's obvious? You're saying that's a question. Is it obvious? I'm saying it's not a question, it's a presumption.
Okay, so let's 1 second. Okay, so let's try to explain why it is that the Gemara thinks that it should be unnecessary to say that either that it's permissible, and all the more so that it would be unnecessary to say that it's a mitzvah to give him ribbis. Okay, so first off, okay, so we understand why the Gemara would be saying we don't that it would be it's hard to hear that there's a mitzvah to give a non-Jew ribbis. Okay, that much. So you're saying, but maybe it would be necessary for the Torah to tell us that it's permissible to give him ribbis.
Right.
After all, we're saying that it's forbidden to give a Jew ribbis, but it's permissible to give a non-Jew ribbis. Wouldn't we need to be told that it's permissible to give ribbis to a non-Jew? After all, we do have to refrain from giving ribbis to a Jew. So that would be what the pasuk is telling us, that but to a non-Jew it would be permissible to do so. There's no prohibition. It's mutter. Why wouldn't that be necessary to be told? What is behind the Gemara's thinking over here? Again, Rashi says, "V'chi boa kosav l'tzabos aleinu litain ribis la'akum." That couldn't be, says Rashi. Te'ilu lahatir k'amar, because if you want to say that it's telling me that it's permissible to give ribis to the non-Jew, pshita. Where would we think that it's going to be usher? So I think Rashi's coming from the point of view.
When you say where,
right? Rashi's coming with from the point of view that why would we assume that it's us? Why would we? What basis is there for thinking that it's usher? So you're saying, oh, well, let's learn from the fact that it's usher to lend to a Jew with ribbis.
right?
So we might think to say, oh, if you're not allowed to lend to a Jew with ribbis, maybe you're also not allowed to lend to a non-Jew with ribbis because it's for the same reason. Well. Well, let's put it like this. If we would take out these two words from the pasuk, take out the first two words of the pasuk, l'nachri sashif. Okay, just take them out and read the rest of the pasuk. It says, "Lachicha lo sashich." To your brother, you're not allowed to charge ribbis. Why? Because he's your brother. He's achicha, right? He's part of the mishpacha. He's part of the family. He's your brother. Would I not know, without being told, that would imply that this is something that you do? This is the way you conduct yourself with your brother. But somebody who's not your brother, you don't need to conduct yourself like that. Why would I think that why do I need to say these words?
Well, conversely, if you don't need the words, why are they there?
Oh, very good. Obviously, there's a reason why the words are there.
Right.
But if we say that the interpretation of the words is talking to the Levitt, so we have no basis for understanding what the words are telling us. That's the Gemara's question. If we say the way Rav Nachman is saying, and incidentally, like you pointed out, the way that Rashi is learning the pasuk in Chumash. But let's not get confused with the way Rashi is learning the pasuk in Chumash. That's a very well-known rule in yeshivas, that you don't bring rayas from what Rashi says in Chumash. You got to learn the Gemara straight. And what the Gemara is saying is that here we got a machlokes between Rava and Rav Nachman. Rava is saying that the pasuk is talking to the lender, and Rav Nachman is saying the pasuk is talking to the borrower. That's really that's really the bottom line. And now the Gemara is piping up and saying, one second, if we say like Rav Nachman that the Gemara is talking to the borrower, so then we have no need for the first two words of the pasuk. They're totally unnecessary. Explains Rashi. What's behind the Gemara's reasoning? Because we've got only two ways to explain what it means. The Torah is saying to the borrower, when it comes to you're borrowing money from the non-Jew, tashich, pay him ribis. What does that mean? Two possibilities. Either it means that the Torah is telling us you have a mitzvah, you're commanded, you're obligated to pay him ribis, or it's coming to tell me that it's permissible to give ribis to the non-Jew. So Rashi says neither one of those possibilities makes any sense. He starts off by saying, if v'chid ba hakosav l'tzavos, on the side that the pasuk is coming to command aleinu, upon us, a Jew, litain ribis, to give ribis to a non-Jew. Is that what the pasuk is coming to tell us? That can't be. That can't be. And then Rashi continues, the ilu lahatir ka'amar pshita, because if you'll say, no, that's not what the pasuk is not talking about commanding. The pasuk is talking about that it's permissible. Says Rashi on that, that's pshita. Obviously, it's permissible. From where would we think that it would be usher? We have no basis for thinking that it would be usher. So the Torah doesn't need to tell us that something is mutter if we have no basis for thinking that it's usher. So we were and all the pasuk is telling it on, and I'm saying what's behind Rashi and the Gemara, because if you're going to say that the whole pasuk is talking to the borrower, so then there's no reason why we would think that if the pasuk would only tell us lachicha, to your brother, don't pay him ribis. The Torah forbids you to pay ribis to to your fellow Jew, you're not allowed. So fine. So I know that to your brother, you're not allowed. But so that's very clear. It's talking to, for some reason, it's talking to only that mode of conduct, that relationship is only with regard to your brother, but not to everybody. I would understand that. Why would we need to say from where would we need to think that is also necessary to conduct oneself like that in regard to someone who's not your brother? As a matter, I think that the point is, it's even more than the fact that the Torah is coming to talk only to your brother. I think the point is that it's a chiddush that we cannot charge ribbis to our brother. That's the Torah's chiddush. We would say that what's wrong with it? You're lending him your object. He's going to be using it and taking benefit of it for a number of days, a number of months, however long the loan is for. So for the right to use your property, there's a price for it. Is there anything wrong with that? Is there anything wrong with charging somebody for the use, the right to use something that belongs to me? Is there something wrong with that? Why is money any different than any other commodity in the world? On the contrary, this that the Torah says, don't take interest from your fellow Jew, is itself not easy to understand why that should be. We're very used to we're very used to it because we know that that's what the Torah says. But if we think about it for a second, it's not. It doesn't really. We could. It's what the Torah is telling us is a chiddush. I don't think there's anything intrinsically evil about lending money with ribbis, is there? Can you explain why is there something wrong with that? What's wrong with lending money for ribbis? Whether to a Jew, whether to a non-Jew, what's wrong with it?
I think we have to defer this question till tomorrow.
Tomorrow's Friday.
That's an easy way out.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
but this is the
We learned
Pele Yoetz Seder.
on Friday.
We'll be doing this tomorrow. We're not in the Gemara Seder. We're in the Pele Yoetz Seder.
Right. Yes, all right.
Okay, so everybody has to think about that. Why does the Torah say?
I have an answer, but I'll tell it to you tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem.
Okay. Okay, we'll be back.
All right, see you soon.